PR Connections Radio presents. This episode of We Have the Power is brought to you by Classy Communications PR and Advertising. Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and non-profit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success.
Hi, and welcome to another segment of We Have the Power. Probably the most three important segments I've ever done in the entire 6 years of the program. And let's recap. Before I recap, I want to say like and subscribe and share this with anyone who is also concerned about losing our freedoms and liberties. That's what this show is all about. We have the power to maintain them, but if we don't keep working at it in some regard, even though we're busy, even though we're stressed out with the high prices and different things, we must continue to work to strengthen our freedoms, because they're kind of the thing that once you lose it, it's really hard to get it back. Okay? So we're going to again be talking about the perverted elite, which is what I call the industrialists and the few psychotic, insane individuals who think they have the right to run the world for their own benefit, their own power. And I'm just going to do a little recap for those of you who may have not caught last week's show. And I encourage you to go to the prconnectionsradio.com website, where all the stores for all the shows for all the shows are stored. And you can watch last week's show. But here's the recap. The perverted elite got pretty beat up during the Vietnam War, which they planned to run for years and years and years. There was plenty of Asians that they didn't care about because they're racist to the core, that they could get rid of in that land war while making billions of dollars for Dow Chemical and Bell Helicopters and the other members of the military industrial complex, which I will repeat again is the most dangerous business in this world, because if there isn't a war, they're out of business, and they will find ways to start a war just to keep that inventory moving, because they don't care about human life. They don't care about anyone other than their own power and their bribery money and their drug money and their prostitution money and their control that they have over the world, keeping us always in a warfare state. So the young people, before they got into drugs, which were brought on by those who wanted to stop them, they decided to destroy the school system so that we have a bunch of uneducated individuals in the schools who would never rise to the point again of doing anything to stop the plans of the military industrial complex, because young people brought that war to an end. They infused drugs and alcohol mainly drugs, into the peace movement and destroyed it. They then, of course, have worked for years to get more drugs, people drinking more alcohol, taking more drugs, making marijuana acceptable like it's some benign thing, explosion of pornography to get people hooked on that, all designed to introvert a person. Let's use a magician as an example. The magician gets you looking over here while he does the trick over here. A magician will be talking, getting you all confused while he does the trick. This is similar to what the perverted elite does. They come up with some story in the news, and I'll talk about how one of their plans that they have brought to fruition is to control most of the media. Because if you control the media, then you're going to control what information people get and how they think about things. So you can say, oh, we want them to hate this group because this group is a danger to us. So let's put out news pieces that this group is bad. Okay? So, going back to what I was saying, that, use the media as a way to control people, control what gets out there. Right now, even if he has valid information, Robert Kennedy, who is trying to stop the abuse in the area of all sorts of vaccines, cannot even speak the truth when a new research is found, because the drug companies support the nightly news. And their numbers are falling anyway, because not that many people watch the nightly news on ABC, CBS, and NBC anymore. But still, the advertisers for the drug companies support them. So they're certainly not going to get someone like Kennedy to come on and talk down about any dangers represent and present with those drugs that they're pushing. We all know how you could do a comedy routine on the fact that, hey, take Xenobil. By the way, it'll kill you. It'll cause you to go blind. Your kidneys will shut down. You'll die. But take it anyway, because it'll make you happier in social situations. That's about how bad the pharmaceutical companies are with the drugs, because they don't really know how to help people. So that's pretty much what I covered. The first thing they want to do. Now, let's look at it. If we were all evil, wouldn't you want to handle the schools? Yes. You don't want young people learning about the Constitution and how bad the military industrial complex is. You want them completely unknown about that and ignorant about that, so they never rise up again and do what the young people did in the 60s in stopping the war in Vietnam. Now, they also they went after the schools. They made sure that they had the military industrial complex right in there. They did a house cleaning, got rid of Kennedy, who was a problem for him, got rid of the other Kennedy, who was going to be a problem if he got elected. As soon as he won the California primary, they knew he was going to win the national ticket, and then they'd have to deal with him, the mafia part of that as well. They got rid of Martin Luther King, because he was going to shut down Washington. He was going to get blacks refusing to go to Vietnam. And then they got rid of later Princess Diana, because she was very successful in limiting landmines. And what would she go after next? And the military industrial complex was freaked out because, as I said in the previous show, she could call a press conference about the new color she was putting on her nails, and everybody would show up. So she had too much power. They had to get rid of her. They had the ambulance wait for 45 minutes outside the hospital because she did not die in the crash, but they wanted to make sure she was dead, probably pregnant with an Arab baby. That freaked them out, because then, that would cause all kinds of problems for them. So she just had to get rid of her. They don't care about human life. They just care about their power. They're despicable that way. Now, let's look at the next things that they had to work on, and you'll see how sickeningly logical this is. Certainly have to get control of the elected officials. So how do you do that? Well, you rig the elections, to some degree. You can go on YouTube right now and you can watch a video by a person who used to do this. He says that any election can be made 48-51. And if you don't know the code, you cannot figure out how it was done. But they have that technology now. So they rig the elections. They start hand-picking people using the media they control. If somebody's coming up who's good, say all kind of negative things that aren't true about him, get him off the ticket. When they get into office, especially any of those that are unethical, they say, hey, here's some stock options and here's some insider information. Oh, well, I can't take that. That's illegal. No one will ever know about it, as long as this senator or Congress member plays ball. The minute they have a moral awakening, suddenly, oh, I'm sorry, Senator, remember that stuff about the illegal stuff you got a hold of? Well, somehow it got released, And yep, you're going down if you don't suddenly do what we say. So they have control over most of them. It was harder for them to get control of the Republicans because the Republicans are more steeped in religion, doing what's right. It doesn't mean that all Republicans are saintly. Plenty of them were unethical, I'm sure. It doesn't mean that all Democrats are completely horrible, but for the most part, they got the Democratic Party supporting failed policies that were designed to ruin this country to further gain control of us. They wanted to destroy the middle class because the middle class is an individual who might have his own business, his or her own business, and think independently and not go along with their crappy, evil ideas. So they wanted to get rid of the middle class, so they made things harder, jacked up the prices on everything, just, as a way to ruin the economy. So we all had to work hard. And, once again, we're down here working hard, 2 jobs. Meanwhile, they're over there doing all their crappy stuff. Move a lot of the production out of the United States as a way to further destroy this country, make it dependent on everybody else. And that would then destroy our cities, pump drugs into the Black community, because remember, these people are racist to the core. They do not want Blacks rising up the economic ladder and being able to buy a house in their neighborhood. Oh, no. So pump drugs into the Black communities, which they make money off of, destroy the family so that most, or too many, I should say, Black families have no father there because the father's in jail because, they get them, they have no other way to make money. So they're selling drugs and they go to jail. So now the kids are growing up in a household, further ruining their ability to think clearly, to think properly, because they don't want those Black kids being bright and able. Okay? It's all part of the plan. They continued with this, with destroying the Constitution. And here's a shocking thing I want to say. Every Congress member and senator who is now seated, got elected, got seated in Congress or the Senate, stood there, raised their hand, and said, I will defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. If any congressman or senator voted to weaken any of the provisions of the Constitution, like gun rights, then they are in a condition of treason and can no longer hold office. How many do you think that would be if we had proper justice in this country? And we looked into that. Well, I believe that it's going to be looked into. A lot of the things I've mentioned already are targets that Trump is going after. No wonder they tried to kill him twice and maybe more. He outfoxed him each time. But he is going against some of their core platforms and things they're trying to do. I cannot imagine if Criminal Harris would have got elected, how horrible this country, the shape it would be in. And meanwhile, the senators, let's go back to them for a moment, who make $170,000 a year or something, end up being multi-millionaires. Because I think it's going to come out even more. They were doing an investigation into it, and I hope that continues, that they would tell somebody, hey, you can make this movie on transgenderism, and we'll pay you $30 million to do it, and you'll get $1 million, and we'll take the $29 million, but we'll hide the paper trail. And that's a lot of the reason that Trump closed that office that was doing that. They were just making millions of dollars on these kinds of unethical activities. And meanwhile, the country has rotting bridges and roads. The schools don't even have paper for the kids. They don't care. Do they care? They do not care. They are insane, psychotic individuals who only care about grabbing money for themselves and cementing their power. So to continue on, keeping us working so that we have no time to look into what are they doing in Washington. Talked about the gun rights. Let's make the streets as dangerous as we can. The left was championing, let's, get rid of cops and let's lower amount of cops in cities. And what do we have? Rising crime rates. Oakland, California, where I was born, is the second most dangerous city in America. And you Google it and say, hey, should I go to Oakland for this parade, or should I ever live in Oakland? Well, once it gets to be nighttime, you're going to need to go in groups of people. Watch out, just horrible crime in Oakland. And I used to live there when I was a kid. They've ruined it. Of course, they want to ruin the cities. They want to make them as dangerous as possible, so nobody goes out, nobody does any organizing. It's not even safe to protest. Plus, the kids who are growing up are protesting for, unbeknownst to them, for the perverted elite. This whole thing, this whole fake thing, which I'm going to do another segment on about human activity causing the planet to warm, it's all part of their plan. That is fake. It's a lie. It's never been true. And if we do the wrong things, we will play right into their hands, because in 2 or 3 generations, this earth is going to face another ice age. What we need is more CO2 in the air. If we follow their guidelines, then millions of people will die and try to eke out a living without water and food and areas to live as mile-thick ice sheets start covering the habitable and food-growing areas. But they want to lower the population. Their psychotic minions have even talked about it. Let's get the population down to 300 million. That would be a good idea, because then we would be manageable, and they can make an edict that everyone gets chipped at birth, because we can't really, cut down trees anymore. And guess what that chip can do? They can control you with that chip. It's not there to store your medical records, even though they could be stored there. It is a control device they would love to put in. That's why in the midterms, we must not let the Democrats get hold of power again, because they will try to impeach Trump, and they'll try to set it up that they can elect someone as ridiculous and controlled as Gavin Newsom. He is a blood relative to Nancy Pelosi. You don't think he has his marching orders or agrees with them? They probably have so much dirt on him that he better follow this line, because if he deviates at all, oh, Mr. Newsom, I'm sorry, but somehow some information got leaked on you. We talked about pumping drugs into the black community. It's really sad that they pump drugs into the black community to destroy it, because they're racist to the core. And they make profit on the drugs. Let me go back to a precedent. Sonny Bono had heard from an FBI agent creditable information that most of the senators and Congress members were on the take for illegal drug trade. And he was going to expose it when he came back. He should have been smarter, kept his mouth shut. He goes popping off about that, ends up dead while skiing. Oh, he ran into a tree, but his glasses weren't broken. He had blunt force trauma to the back of his head. Thugs came there and killed him to keep that quiet, because gosh forbid the American public should ever get wind that a majority of the Congress members and senators are on the take from profit from the illegal drug trade. And especially if an American family lost one of their kids to drugs. Guess who helped that happen? The very people they voted in, who are supposed to be watching out for our safety. During the State of the Union, absolutely despicable. I was in tears. I don't mind telling you that. The fact that the Democrats would not stand up when Trump said, hey, stand up if you believe one of the main roles of the U.S. government is protecting American citizens, not illegal aliens. And the Democrats would not stand up. They are bamboozled. They are controlled. And the very people who control them are exactly the psychotic, insane individuals of the perverted elite that I'm talking about right now. Now, Trump is turning back a lot of these things. He's helping the middle class. Now, you might say, oh, that's not true because prices are up. And that is the media saying exactly what the perverted elite would like to do, because they figure if they say that long enough, people will just, and I've had people who are friends of mine who just like a parrot. I'm sorry to say this about my friends that are like a parrot. Trump is bad. Trump does this. Trump does that. And they're all lies, what they're saying. It's not true. But the media just keeps pumping this out because they want to discredit him. He is a danger to their power. More importantly, right here, right there, if we are analytical and we are bright and we don't mess around with alcohol and abuse it, take drugs, are unethical in our own lives, we are the ones with the power to put a stop to this. And guess what? We are going to be successful, and everybody will gain from that. Even those people who are Democrats or who are against Trump will benefit from him putting his life on the line and changing the course that these psychotic people would like to go down, where nothing, see, you go like this, there's nothing left. Nothing left of any freedoms or any liberties, because then they have total control. It's the same thing with the electric car. And I'm glad that people are refusing to buy them, because they wanted to get everybody on an electric car and say, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, you cannot charge your car and go to work the next day. The grid can't handle it. So let's see. A through M can drive your car this week, N through Z next week. And if we find out on Facebook that you're starting to espouse anything that doesn't fit in with what we once said, your car will be shut down remotely and you won't be able to drive anywhere. You won't be able to get food. You won't be able to get money. You won't be able to pay your rent. You'll get evicted, become homeless, and die. That's what they want to do. I'm sorry. You have to raise your confront of evil. Raise your confront of evil. And it does not mean it's hopeless. By the very fact that you're watching this show, and I encourage you, do your own research. Don't believe it because I say it or because your favorite celebrity says it or your favorite politician says it or any celebrity says it or any politician says it. It is important for you to spend a little time figuring out what the perverted elite is doing. I'm showing you the basic things on their agenda, the basic thing on their agenda. And then you can go, let me look into that. And Trump has brought back millions and millions, maybe billions of dollars of businesses back into this country, changed a lot of things with the automotive restrictions, and he's undoing the things that they had in place. And I'm sure they're not liking it, but I think they have so much evidence on them now that's going to be brought out. You see, Trump is educating the public, because if he would have come out and said many things right away, people would have said, oh, it's not true. But he's showing people on a slow but dedicated way how despicable these people are. And then when it comes time to put them on trial, yes, they get a fair trial. Yes, both sides can be represented, but they're going down, I'm telling you, because their crimes are deep and horrible and have tried to destroy this country, and they're in treason for that reason. Now, the ones that are sane will agree to do a lot of what we call amends or cleanup of some of the stuff they've done. The ones who are pure evil will say, I'm not doing that. I believe in what I did. Okay, good. Then I wonder what your sentence is going to be. Life in prison, or do we put you to death, or what do we do with you? So the ones who are willing to try to clean up things, yeah, we need more people cleaning up things. I think most of the people in jail who aren't psychotic, we're sitting there paying their rent and their food. Get them out. Get them. Hey, you robbed a 7-Eleven. Okay, under supervision, you are going to go out and you're going to spend a lot of time cleaning up the town that you're in, to clean up the town that you're in. And you're going to work long hours at it, because all of us are working long hours. You're not going to get some easy way. We're not going to have some weak-minded person saying, oh, that's really tough on them. You're making them work 16 hours a day. Well, maybe that sends a message. Stop being unethical, or you will be working 16 hours a day, picking up trash or something worse. Okay? There's a lot of cleanup needs in this country, and the people who need to do it are the ones that have been pulling it down. So the key thing is that there are certain plans that the perverted elite had. I've illustrated some of these, and you can look into this. But if you look at this from a police investigator, please take that viewpoint. Don't look at it as a Democrat or Republican or whatever. You're a police investigator. And we're getting toward the end of the show, but I want to leave you with the fundamental way to look at this. Mrs. Jones has a $500,000 life insurance policy. And she dies, kind of maybe under some suspicious circumstances, but not totally. Nobody broke in the house. We didn't find a knife or anything, but she dies. Now, her husband, Mr. Jones, has been doing all sorts of community work. People love him. He's a great guy. If I'm a police investigator, he is on the list of potential people who killed her until he's cleared 100%. He was in New York when she died or whatever, But still, we're going to look into him and see if he hired someone to do it. Why would we do that when we got Mr. Jones, who's this wonderful person, done all this community work? Because he has the opportunity and he has a potential motive. Okay, he could benefit from that. Maybe his wife was older and he wants to have that $500,000 and get with some young chick. I don't know. But he has the opportunity and the motive. Now, let's say we find out there's no way that he possibly could have done that. Okay, he's off the list. When you look at what the perverted elite has planned, look who would stand to gain. Who would stand to gain with pushing the idea that marijuana is okay? Only the drug dealers, okay? Because we're going to see in 20 years that people are getting emphysema from the smoke from marijuana, because that smoke isn't good for your lungs. The only people who benefit from people using more drugs are the drug dealers. And the perverted elite, who then has people who are less aware, yeah, whatever, man, yeah, cool, can't see what they're doing. They're evil because they don't want to be found out, of course. Who would benefit from destroying the school system and dumbing down our students? Only people who don't want the students poking around where they don't want them. What's going on over there? Oh, what's going on over there? Those are the only people that gain from that. Who would gain from killing a sitting president who had all sorts of plans that weren't in their book? The perverted elite. Okay. Who would gain from shooting Trump the day before the Republican convention? Only the perverted elite. Nobody else would gain, because look at the good things he's done in the meantime to steer away from these plans that the perverted elite has. Next week, 5 o'clock on Thursday, we will talk about what you can do, because you can do stuff to stop Even though you don't have millions, you don't have all this stuff at your disposal, what can you do to stop the most evil plans of the perverted elite? That will be next Thursday at 5 o'clock Pacific. And then we're going to start a series of, I'm going to be contacting people to talk about various organizations that are working to stop what the perverted elite has. And we'll be getting those individuals on as well. Thank you for watching. This show is important, not because I have an ego. It's important because we have the power to keep our freedoms and liberties, and we must do that. We must never let them go away. And we can prevent that. Thank you for watching. I will see you next Thursday at 5 p.m. for what you can do, even though you might think you can't do anything, to stop the perverted elite and their evil, psychotic plans. Thank you.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.